Okay, hello. Hi, everybody. All right, so I want to talk about shifting the energy in a room, shifting the energy of the room. So it's so interesting. I just got back. I was did a keynote this last week, and it was a really fun keynote. It was one of my favorite things to talk about. But what I noticed was I came in at the very end of the day. The group had been going, I think, since like 7:30 in the morning, and I came in to close out the conference. And when I got up on stage, I realized, and this is not the first time this happened, but realized that the room was completely exhausted. I heard somebody in the audience say they felt brain dead. There was nothing else that they could take. They didn't want to do anything else. However, for this particular group, I was the only thing standing between them and the wine and cheese event that was going to happen at the end of the conference was me and this 45-minute talk. So I'm sure you can relate to that. You walk in to give a meeting or a presentation, even just think about the last, maybe a meeting you were on today, and you walk into the room or you walk into the Zoom room or WebEx or wherever, Teams or wherever you might be, and you can just feel that the people that are there are done. They're cooked. They do not have any more, I can't even say it, brain power or bandwidth to give the conversation you're about to go into. So you have a couple of options in that case, depending on the situation. One, you can reschedule your meeting. Two, you can just take a nice long break and do a little bit of a reboot. There's a lot of different things, but sometimes you don't have the luxury to actually say, okay, let's reschedule. Let's go do something different. And times like that might be when you're giving a talk, presentation, you're leading a town hall, an all hands meeting for your organization. And you really need people to show up, and you're not going to cancel it. You're also not going to send everybody out for a half an hour break to kind of regroup. Sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. So I want to go back to my keynote last week. One of the things that we always promise in my keynotes is that I do keynotes differently. I don't do a keynote where I just spray information to everybody and then hope that they get it and take something from it and, or hopefully impact in a positive way. I actually make sure that my keynotes are really, really experiential so that everyone in the audience or everyone in the room, if it's a smaller group, is really getting to have an experience of IEP, what we call IEP, which stands for Intentional Energetic Presence. They really get to have an experience of what it feels like to choose to bring a more intentional presence into the room. They get to have the experience of watching and feeling a room shift. And so one of our promises with this work is that people will have an experience of watching things shift if they actively participate in doing the work. And that is what happened for this particular group. Now, as mentioned, you're going in to do something. Sometimes you can hit a pause or you can reschedule and whatnot. A lot of times you can't. I know you know what I'm talking about. You may even be going in to have a one-on-one conversation with one of your direct reports or your boss or whoever, or your board or whoever it might be, customer, and you don't have the luxury to shift it. You don't have the luxury to cancel it or to reschedule and whatnot. So you have to do something in that room to shift the energy of the room. You have to do something to shift the energy of the room. And it's really funny because when I gave this talk last week, what I realized is I'm so close to this, I miss some of the obvious things, which are the fact that when I am doing that, when I am working with a room, when anybody on my team is working with a room, we are very intentionally shifting the energy in the room, but we're doing it in a very authentic way. And it's not that it's just magic that just happens. It's because we're actually using the tools in the IEP methodology to shift the energy in that room. So in the case of this particular audience, part of the way that we got there was in really creating more of a container for them to relax, to honor the fact that they're all exhausted, to honor the fact that half of them didn't want to be there, to speak to what was actually happening in the room, and then to give everyone a choice to actually decide to show up for the next 45 minutes or not. And it was really interesting to see how that energy shifted as the talk went on. What was even more interesting to me personally was how many people came up to me afterwards and said that the most important thing that they got out of all the content was watching how I held my energetic state and created the space for people to shift theirs authentically without making them wrong for it, without forcing them into a different kind of state or presence, but really being more of an invitation. So all this to say, as you're going into rooms, as you walk into a room and you realize the energy in there is just, ugh, you do not have to become that energy. You do not have to give up on your conference or the rest of the day just because everybody's in a low energetic state. You don't have to give up. It doesn't have to be the way it is. You actually can very intentionally shift the energy in the room, but it requires you first as leader, as facilitator, as speaker, as whoever you are going into that room. It requires that you're able to hold a really, really strong energetic field for yourself and that you can extend that container to everybody else. And there's a method for that. It's the IEP method. So just want to offer that, just a little bit of information to be thinking about when you're going into rooms. What is the energetic container that you're creating? How are you showing up? How are you going in and holding your own energetic state so that you can invite people to join a higher vibration versus you matching the lower vibration? There's a lot of nuance that goes into this. I realized after like the third or fourth person said it to me after that talk last week, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I make it obvious enough that this is a huge part of the work that we're doing in organizations. When we go in to work with organization on their culture, their leadership teams or whatnot, we're helping them start to really become more aware of their energetic presence and the energy they're putting out into the room, and also helping them to learn how to shift it authentically so they can get more good stuff done. So if you're interested in talking about that, please feel free to join us in an executive forum. I probably will do a special forum coming up in the next couple months about shifting the energy in the room. You can also reach out. Happy to do a demo session for you and your leadership team if this is something you're interested in learning how to do for yourself, and or you as a leader. Just reach out. We'll figure out where to put you so you can get the support that you want. But don't give up when the energy in the room is yucky. Don't give up. Don't catch it. Don't become it. But also don't give up on trying to shift it, because you absolutely can shift it. You may just need some extra tools and some extra IEP for yourself to be able to learn how to do that effectively. All right. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. And thanks as always for being here. Here's the link. Let me put this link up. Let's see. Here's a link for executive forums. If you're a senior leader, executive that's responsible for culture, leadership, sales, like all that stuff, how people show up basically in your organization, go ahead and put your information there. We'll get you an invite to join the next one. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.